Hey guys,
Hey, Cam McClellan.
welcome back to the Wealth Workout of the Day.
Rip it up, mate.
Right. So yesterday, guys, we started talking about how to find the right property. It's about, as we said a few times, kissing a lot of frogs to find the right prince. So you've done the market, you've done the area, now into the actual property searching in the particular area you want to find. And yesterday we talked about, I'll recap them, buy below the median, make sure the property's low cost to hold, optimum size and quality, establish capital benchmark, land content, amenity, and new overall. So today we're going to specifically delve into buying below the median and why that's so important to you once you're in the right area and you're finding your property in that area.
Cool. I've done this before, the median house price, but it's really important. I keep sinking it in. When I do training with my team, I don't do it once. So enjoy this and understand it. I'm going to draw a city suburb or an area in a triangle fashion. The reason I've done this is because the majority of properties, will say, entering this market, 250k, anyone can buy a property. That's the lowest property. So what there's more properties at that lower end than there is at the top end, which is why, just to throw a bit extra in for those people who've seen it before, which is why properties at the top end, there's minimum buyers at this top end. So say this is $2 million, or let's use a 2-rack type suburb. If you're looking at $5 million properties at this top end, and the market moves at this top end, the bottom area of the market, there's a lot of buyers. If the one or two buyers who can afford a $5 million property in that area at that point in time and not around, what does the seller have to do? They have to drop the property price from 5 to 4.5 mil, 4 mil to get that next level of buyer, which is why the newspapers will report these huge, the market in X amount, X suburbs, so the top end suburbs has dropped 20%. Probably has. The rest of the market hasn't been affected because there's enough buyers to work with the product in that area. Make sense? Cool. So, what area are we talking about? It says areas.
Let's call this random area.
Random suburb. All right. We'll say. I'll use a bit of similar. So we'll say we've got 3 mil. Here's your established capital benchmark. So the top properties in the area.
Yeah.
That's what they're selling for. But we'll say the capital city that we're investing in. We'll use round numbers and we'll say that's a 5. We'll say the median house price, so the middle sale price, is around 500k.
It's a weird 5.
Looks like a weird 5, it's disjointed, isn't it? All right, you're an investor, Al.
Yep.
Where are you going to buy a property?
In the suburb.
In the suburb?
Yep.
What price point? So you come along, what's your strategy for
I'm going to buy a property for 600 because I want to find the best tenants.
the best tenants? All right, so he's coming at 600. That makes it easy because he's coming above the median house price, so I can work with that. All right, so to understand where your future net wealth comes from, future net wealth, and this is important, this is a key, future net wealth does not come from what you can sell your properties for. It's determined by the bank panel valuer and the valuation they put on your future portfolio, so the portfolio down the track. So the reason a lot of people, and we deal with a lot of sporting people who love to get into that, that blue chip type of area, and a lot of clients who, the buzzword is, get in a blue chip area. The problem is, and what we'll go through in this area, this is blue chip, there's $3 million properties in here. Al wants to buy something at 600, not the worst investment, but let's see what happens when we go through the process and how you can't duplicate if you're buying at this price point in this area. If we take into, and Al and I are really good friends with one of the directors of one of the major valuation firms. We hang out at Christmas and spend sort of 5 weeks holiday houses at Christmas together. So we drill the hell out of him over a few beers and about the mentality of the valuation industry and what goes through their heads and how valuations happen. And the reality is, valuers, just so you understand this, they don't gift wrap valuations. They're not a nice little bow. This is a sausage factory. These valuers are doing 8 of these things a day. They'll get sent out in the old days a fax or an email saying, go and check out this property. The 3 different types of valuations are, first of all, the curbside. So they actually drive up to the property and have a look and make sure it's there. The most common one nowadays is the desktop, so they don't even leave the desk. And what they'll do is they'll look at analytical data, price finder, RP data. They'll have a look at the median house price. This is the big one, the median house price. They'll check that, because if they're found negligent and they put a valuation that is too much and the buyer defaults and has to sell out, and they're found negligent of putting the wrong price on, they can be found liable, or their insurance company can be found liable. So the insurance policy that the premium that valuations firms cop is astronomical. So they don't want to default on their insurance. And then the other valuation is the top end, and this is the walkthrough. So we've got basically a different level of valuations depending on what price point you're buying at. So the walkthrough, what will happen there is actually you go out, and this is what I love when there's a top end property and mate calls me up and goes, check this thing out. I love going through those properties. But anyway, all right, also understanding the value and the way they value properties. Al said, I want to buy it 600K. I'm a valuer, I've got to do 8 of these things a day. I don't care, I get paid a couple of $100 for each one. So I come in and I go, that's very nice, Mr. Lewison, you've purchased a property for 600,000. I'm sitting at my desk, look up some data, median house prices at 500, there's lots of comparable sales at 500,000, you bought one at 600, I don't really care if it's got a media room or it's got nice landscaping or it's got a slightly bigger backyard. The reality is, it's safer for me to put 500,000 on it. 2 reasons, if anything ever happens, I can fall back and show that I haven't been negligent in my valuation because I've got a lot of data here at 500,000. And the other thing, if he's taking lender's mortgage insurance, if I put it above that, the lender's mortgage insurer is going to give me grief as well. I don't want to have to contest these things or deal with it. I don't want to have heat from anywhere. So, sorry, Al, I'm going to meet you halfway. I'm going to give you 500. Oh, that's 550K. Can you read that?
Do it right again.
It's really bad. So
what do I do now, Tim?
my bank panel valuations came in at 550,000. Al, can you please top up the extra 50,000 for us? Because the bank's only going to lend you that much against that much. So you've already had to throw in a deposit for there. You chuck in the extra 50K. And this is the reason I said before why people who are so determined on buying in blue chip areas and above the city median house price, this is why they can't duplicate. Because there's not a lot of people that can afford to throw in $50,000 or $100,000 time and time again. Throwing in an extra 10 or 20K to buy a property is understandable, but and people can afford that out of the equity of their home. But that large amounts of money really chew up and slow people duplicating down. So this is why people go, I've got investment property in Paran, for example. Fantastic. How are you going to go buying again? Unless you've got huge amounts of equity, huge amounts of income. So for the average mum and dad investor, let's take it another way. And this is Al and I.
So that's a good point. So if we talk the statistics of property investors around Australia, there's 22 million people, 2.2 million own investment property. But of the 2.2 million, only 460,000 have gone on to duplicate to more than one.
Yeah.
These are part of the reasons, guys. Just simple mistakes.
That's probably the biggest
drag
reason.
them back down.
Yeah, probably the biggest reason. The other actually reason, another really good point, and we'll get into this detail. This is costing you a lot of money out of your back pocket to hold. So we'll go into low cost to hold in a future one, but it's like a compounding factor of why you can't duplicate if you're buying at that top end. Let's think about the bank panel valuations. I'll keep going back to that. So your net worth is determined by your future valuation. Now, the valuation Al's got on this one is 50,000 low. Imagine if he buys another one, he gets another $50,000 low. Every property he's buying is chipping away what his net worth is. So,
Well, I've changed my mind. I want to buy one for 450.
that's not a bad idea, is it? All right, let's have a look at it. So what happens? Al's come in, and depending on the market cycle at that point in time and the consumer confidence in the newspapers, this will really determine whether your bank panel valuations are going to come in on the money or they're going to come in somewhere between the money and 10% low. If the markets are really slow, and the time I like to invest is when the markets are really, quite slow.
Start of the next boom.
There you go, exactly. So, but if the markets are warm, all our capital cities are warm at this point in time, you're getting probably 50% of the valuations coming in on the money. So, at least if it comes in slightly low, he might get 430,000. So only 20,000 he's going to have to chip in rather than 50,000. So that is a huge amount of money he's saved in his back pocket to go towards his next deposit and cost. So, understand? So
I think the important point there is that's on day one, guys. It might cost me a little bit of money. But in 12 months or 18 months, when I go back and say, look, bank, I think there's been some value growth in my property, get the value, and he's not looking at your contract anymore. He said, well, what's the average for the area?
Yeah.
Well, they're getting for 500,000 for 4 bedders. They're getting 500,000 properties with that size of land. This one's similar. Let's make it 500. You've crept it up. Very hard to reverse, guys, to go in 12 months and say, look, can you have a look at my property? If they're looking at the same metrics, you bought a 4 bedder, 4 bedders are 500. No, you probably didn't have in value.
let's multiply this out, guys, and let's say that you've got the ability to buy 5 of these things at 600 grand. You've lost 50,000 on every one of them. Let's say 10 years down the track, you've been able to buy 10 of these, for example, at 450,000, but you've got the value coming in on the money. You've got more usable equity, so your net worth is larger. Does that make sense? So, once again, if you're looking at the area, understand the amount of buyers in an area. And actually, this is another really good point. So GFC, when they kicked around, was it 2008? It was 2008. The top end of the market got smashed. It got smashed in similar proportions to the share market. Properties underneath our capital city median house price only dropped about 10% and then bounced back pretty quickly across the capital cities, which weren't reliant on tourism and mining, interstate trade. So you're a safer bet. You're a better buy, better valuations, lower cost to hold, and a safer bet buying under the city's median house price. All good?
Go and find some property below the median.
There
Have
you
a
go.
good day.